Hello. How are you? How are you? Welcome to How to Get Creative. It's good to see you. Hello, Cindy. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a good life today. Chance is living his best life. Bossing me around. That's what he does. Hear it? Thank you. Yep, he's over here just bossing me around. Aren't you? Are you okay? Are you? He's over here just talking. Hello, Bev from Australia. Hello, hello. Hi, Peggy. Good to see you guys. Hi, Connie. Hello, Barbara. Watching quietly before you go to sleep. Well, I'll try to be quiet. That way you can go to sleep in peace. Hopefully we can just keep you company while you go to sleep. Good to see you in the chat, Barbara. Very good to see you in the chat. Hope things are going okay for you. Those life-altering adjustments are quite the challenge, aren't they? Good to see you. So, it is Monday. It is good to be here tonight. I am glad I'm here with you guys. Glad. We had rain today. I don't know why so many of us as streamers have to give you a weather report, but we feel compelled to do it. I don't know why. I am covering a... Hello, Dorothy. Getting there slowly. Good. Hi, Carolyn. Carolyn? Is it Carolyn? I hope that's right. Chance is just being himself. Yeah. Anyway, it's great to see you guys. Great to be with you tonight. I am covering a notebook. I will show you in just a second. I just wanted to say hello to everybody. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay, now I can show you what I'm doing. The never-ending baby quilt, or dog quilts over here. Chance is here. Yes, he is. 9 a.m. Good. What are you working on, Bev? What are you working on? So this piece of paper that I'm using right here, that you're looking at, you're going to make noise, aren't you? This is the piece of paper that we jelly plate printed the last time we were together when I had so much trouble with my jelly plate. I don't know what in the world. I don't know what in the world I had going on that night. Who knows? Hi, Vale. Hi, Terry. Carlin. Okay, Carlin. Very good. You've obviously been asked that question before. Carlin. I'll try to remember that. I eventually remember names, but sometimes you have to remind me a few times or a dozen times before it really sticks. Pronunciations and the like. Anyway, it is Monday night. It is hopefully drama free. The last time I streamed, I guess it was last Monday night, wasn't it? The jelly plate was giving me lots of drama. but we ended up with a couple of really nice prints. This is one of them. This is one I liked a lot. Remember, we dyed the background after the print was done. And I'm just using a glue stick. I'm using an Elmer's Extreme glue stick. Yes, I see you. And I hear you. He is over here sitting beside me on the table, just giving me a what for, because he thinks that every time I sit down at my table, it is time for treats. And you know what? He would not be wrong. He would not be wrong. So this is one of the prints that I got out of that somewhat questionable jelly plate printing ordeal, and I'm just putting it on to a moleskin notebook with glue stick to stick it on. And then after that, hopefully it sticks all the way around. I don't worry too much about it. If this was a project I really cared about, I would probably use gel medium or something like that to put this down with. You know what? This is just a personal journal. I make each and every one of them different. I use about 8 to 10 of these little notebooks every year as my personal journals. And so I'm just a few pages away from needing a new one, and you know, I start getting heart palpitations when I get close to the end of the journal and I don't have the next one ready. So I gotta get it ready. Yes, I do. Okay. You used to refer to George Carlin. But people don't know, huh? Oh, Chance is lippy. Oh my goodness, he's lippy. He complains at me all the time. All the time, Cat complains at me. But most of the time it's with that mournful yowl thing that he does. It drives me bananas. It does. Okay, I'm going to just put this over here and put some books on it. Yes, because I stood up, you thought you needed treats. And hopefully, because I will see the books, I will show it to you by the end of the stream. I thought George Carlin, back in the day, he was a little risque. But he was funny. He was very irreverent when it came to lots of things. If you were easily insulted or easily you just needed to not watch him. You have a golden retriever that's a talker? Really, Terry? That's great. Dorothy might nod off. I understand. Okay. Chance, would you come up here and say hello to your fans? Yes. Here he is, alive and well. I think somebody the other day asked me if he was sick in one of the comments. He's not sick, he's just real old. He's 17. He's a very old boy. And he just keeps getting thinner and thinner. It's just because he's just old boy, has hardly any teeth left. He has a couple of big ones, but they're on the same side. So he has a hard time keeping his tongue in his mouth. He has a hard time keeping his tongue in his mouth, so he spends a lot of time trying to get it back in his mouth, because apparently those big teeth are real important. You need those to keep your tongue in your mouth. Right? He's a funny, funny cat. He really is a funny cat. And he's a snuggler, and if I'm sitting on the couch, he is just draped over my legs, because that's what he does. And if I have something to eat, he thinks he should share it. And so he is forever sticking his face in my plate. And I have tried scatting him, going, tss, tss, I've tried scolding. I've tried moving him away. I have tried doing all kinds of things. And he just comes right back. He's just like a bad penny. Comes right back. And more than once he has dumped my entire plate in my lap because he will either make a sudden movement and put his foot on my plate, or he will come up from under it and give it a sharp, hit with his head, because that's guaranteed to get my attention. Hello, Kate. He is so funny. He's just a goofball. He's just a goofball. He's a good boy. Aren't you? He's just purring up a storm. Can you hear him? Probably not. He is purring up a storm. Good to see you guys. Okay, I'm going to put him in the other room. And then while that little notebook, the paper on that notebook, hopefully I put it on right side up. If I didn't, oh well. While that dries enough that I can cut the excess off, we're going to work on this baby quilt yet again. Hello, Dar. Cheshire Cat Dar. He is so funny. He is a good boy. Yes, aren't you? And he will slobber. Nobody's voice is as melodious as Chance's, let's face it. And Charlie used to do the same thing. I'm telling you, that yowl. Ugh. When they do that, like, it sounds like somebody's killing him. Found the bag of catnip had been dragged out of its spot where I keep it. He had taken it away with him, but he hadn't gotten it open. If he'd gotten it open, that would have been bad news. That's funny. Your cat didn't utter a sound until she was 10. I don't know why they make these noises. I really don't. This quilt, by the time I'm done stitching on it, is going to be stiff enough. probably be a placemat. Oh well, is what it is. It's going to be cute and bright. So there's that. All right. So this is a doll quilt. Pay no attention to the blue painter's tape. But this is a doll quilt that I have been working on with you guys. I have done very little off camera. And so I'm going to stitch beside the painter's tape. Once I get this kind of put up here where we can see. Okay. So I have my machine kind of at an angle, and so sometimes I don't do my best stitching on TV, as Nancy Zeman used to say on Sewing with Nancy. She used to say that, and I thought, oh, that's just an excuse. Nope, it's not an excuse. That is true. That is absolute truth. You can try to do your best, and sometimes you do well, and sometimes not. It is coming out kind of cute. I need to get a doll for her. She's going to be 3 here before long. I need to get a doll for her, baby doll. I was going to look today to see what I could find, but I didn't get that done. So, and I'm not going to backstitch at the ends of the quilting lines. I am going to, got to pay attention here for a minute. I'm going to hopefully stitch around the dots. If I go slow enough. So I'm wanting to get her a baby doll. You know, if wishes were fishes, I would make her one. Design a pattern and make it. You know what? I just don't have that time to do that right now. Life is a little crazy. Not that anyone should expect anything other than that report from me. So, I'm trying to stay out of the camera view, but might or might not happen. Because when I stay out of the view of the camera, then I'm not looking straight at my work, and it does. I mean, it's hard enough to stitch straight when you're looking straight at it. Okay. So I put down a piece of painter's tape on purpose so that I would have a line to stitch beside to begin with. So you can see my straight line, hopefully, going down the back. I'm going to then pull the top thread through to the back side of the work, and then later I will knot these threads off. And invariably what happens is you end up stitching over them, even though I'm really careful and intend not to do that. Let me see if I got clear to the corner. Close enough. All right. So if you pull on the bobbin thread, which is on the back side of this quilt, then you should be able to pull the top thread straight through to the back. Okay? All right. Now I can take this painter's tape, this strip of painter's tape, because none of my marking pens that I have, and believe me, I have a lot of different kinds of marking pens, and none of them were the right color to show up on this busy quilt top. Trying to get my threads to cooperate here. All right, there we go. And so, because the markings wouldn't show up on this busy quilt top, I opted for a piece of painter's tape to stitch beside. So that's what I've done. Okay? Now, the next thing is to decide how far apart I want these lines to be. So I think I'm going to run the edge of my presser foot against the line of stitching, and I'm going to move my needle position as far to the right as it will go. So all I'm going to do then is follow the edge of the presser foot against this line of stitching all the way to the other end. And anytime I encounter a dot, hopefully I will have the sense to stitch around it. All these, believe it or not, Terry, were in my scrap bag. Okay, I gotta watch what I'm doing here. Yep, all these fabrics were in my stash of scraps. And every time that the fabric seems like it's going to bunch up, I will lift the presser foot to let things settle down and smooth out to the sides. I was using my walking foot the last time we were together, and for whatever reason, the walking foot and I, no, it wasn't the walking foot, it was the time before that. The walking foot and I were not getting along well. I know, hard to believe, but so true. And we were having an argument, and you can't solve an argument on the air. So we will see how this works, okay? Okay. Some of my schedule has altered, and so I'm going to tell you what's happening. Making sure I don't have the thread twisted. There we go. Sorry, too many ums. Pull this. It's hard to talk and do something, you know? I used to be better at it than I am now. I don't know why that is. I used to be able to do two things at once. Maybe I used up all those brain cells that allow you to do that. Okay, so there we have the second line of stitching. So I am not going to mimic the extra width here going around the dots. I'm just going to stitch down, and when I encountered this dot, I stitched around it and went on. That's the process that is going to have here. And then all of this later, it's gonna be an absolute rat's nest of threads back here, which drives me crazy. I can't even tell you how much I hate that. So I will sit down and I will tie the knots, and then I will thread the ends through a needle, and I will run them into the quilt. Okay? So there's that. Anyway, schedule. I was planning to be gone for the next several streaming sessions. I was going to be gone quite a bit. However, that's changed. I have a lot of tabs open, that is for sure. That is for sure. So same deal. I'm running the edge of the presser foot against the stitching. That's what I'm watching, other than keeping an eye out for an upcoming dot. And this one looks like I'm gonna miss it. That was good fortune. So I am going to be here for the next few weeks. We were planning to go away for a vacation. We decided that that was not going to work because we would just get back in time to leave again to go get married. And so we decided that wasn't going to work so well. So we altered our schedule. And so it's going to all happen at about the same time. So when I'm gone, I'm going to be gone for probably 2 weeks. But that's not going to happen until in October sometime, instead of this week as it was originally planned. So I will be here. Any of you who are VIP members at How to Get Creative, any of you who are VIP members, I had told you that I would be gone and there would be a recording for the class for this month, or for October, which isn't true, and there will be a live class because I will be here. So there you go. Okay? Okay. So that is that announcement. So there is the third line of quilting. You actually can see it better on the back with the crazy cat lady. Yeah, so we're going to the place where the Studley Duck's son lives. I think I told you this already. He is a minister, so he will be performing the ceremony, which they assure me, they have promised me, will be casual and not a big deal. I know when I tell you that I hate being the center of attention and yet I stream online, it probably doesn't make sense to you, but that is the truth. And so it's very small with only our kids there. And so we are going there because he is a minister, and also because he is going through cancer treatment right now. And so it's going to be better for him if we go there. And so I think that's going to be good. And also it's closer to my son, and so he will be able to drive to be there with his wife. And so that's the plan. That's the plan, Stan. All right, here we go. Now, the problem with this theory that I have, or this quilting idea that I have going on here, is that if you get off on one of your lines, which can happen, you know, it certainly can happen. All right, I think we're going to go this way. And then you run your presser foot next to the line. That can cause you some real angst, messy situations going on. So hopefully that won't be the case. Hopefully it will look okay. And so anyway, that is the story of that. And so people have asked me what I'm going to wear, and I said, well, it's entirely possible that I will wear flannel, blue jeans, flannel shirt, and Birkenstocks. I don't think I can get away with that, but that certainly is what I would be the most comfortable in. I somehow don't think that I'm going to be able to pull that off. So my next option was, I asked my daughter-in-law if she would dress me, and she's Filipino and delightful and wonderful, and I love her very much. But I think if she had her way, she might dress me with a tiara and sequins, which are equally, that won't work at all. So I'm going to have to go kind of look and see what I can find that is casual and yet appropriate, etc. Oh, thank you, Vale. You didn't know? Hi, Linda. I still have loads of time. Are you kidding? I have loads of time to figure this out. Not. Actually, I like Chico's. Okay, what am I going to do here? All right, I'm just going to go around this. I'm going to just stitch over the same stitching again, I hope. And so that's probably where I'm going to go to try to find something to wear. I have one color of slacks in my wardrobe. It's black. I have lots of black pants. I have them in different styles, but that is my go-to. That is my go-to thing. So I don't know, you guys. I wish Izzy was going to be here before so we could go shopping together, but she's not. She thinks she has to work for some unknown reason. At work, it just gets in, that work thing gets in the way of having all the fun, doesn't it? All right, let's see if we can get this. So I need to get a baby doll to go with this quilt. Like I said, if I had my way, I would design a pattern and make her a baby doll, but there just isn't time to do that. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. Maybe, I guess I'm just gonna have to go look and see what's available in the way of baby dolls. I like them to have a cloth body, you know, and be cuddly and stuff. I don't know if they even make those where I can get one. Maybe Amazon has one, you think? Any suggestions from the peanut gallery? I would welcome your suggestions. She's only 3. She'll be 3, so it's got to be tough. You know what I mean? Last year for her birthday, I got her this darling little, I think it was birthday, might have been Christmas, I don't know, could have been Christmas. I got her this, I forgot the brand of the toys, but it was this mouse, and it was this, I forgot what I don't even know what the mouse's name was, but it was a figure that was about like this, cloth, and it was this whole line of you could get different characters and doing different scenes and all that. Well, this was the one that was dressed up, had a shower cap and a towel, and I don't remember what all else. Anyway, it was dressed to take a bath. And so she and Mommy talked about that. And it wasn't too long before Mouse, whatever the mouse's name was, went for a bath, bona fide bath. And so my granddaughter either sent me a text or called me one and told me that Mouse had her first official bath, and she was hanging up to dry. She was hanging up. Hello, Mary. Good to see you. Shirts and hoodies. Hi, Darla. You are correct. You are correct, Darla. And I wasn't going to be here for... Sorry, I have to keep my wits about me here. I wasn't going to be here for the next VIP class, but that has changed, and I will be. So, all will go on as planned. Why do I have this thread? Yeah, so all will go on as planned, as scheduled. Regularly scheduled programming. And my stream schedule, unless something wacky happens, will be, which we know sometimes happens, will be, all right, you're not in the right spot. Hopefully I will be maintaining my streaming schedule. Oop. Almost got it. Well, there may be a little jog in the stitching there, but you know, a 3-year-old's not gonna, if she sees the jog in the stitching, then she deserves a medal for picking up the detail. And this little girl is sharp enough, she just might do that. She absolutely might. She certainly might. So there is how the stitching is looking at the moment. Okay, I'll show you on the back. You have to ignore all this mess of the rat's nest of threads, so you can see the stitching lines there. And the more lines you stitch, the stiffer the quilt becomes, but you know, I like to do the stitching, so if it becomes a placemat, oh well, it just does. You know, it just does. Lots of choices. Okay, you entered toddler first, baby doll. Okay. What were the prices like, Terry? Were they all over the place? Probably. And that is okay. She's worth it. I got her mommy several, I don't know how many, several different American dolls, and they had a closeout on the American Girl dolls. I've forgotten what. They were like the dolls from different countries or something. Alright, hopefully this stitches out and doesn't become a problem here. We're going to find out. And so anyway, I've got a whole bunch of those for her years ago. I do love the American Girl dolls. In fact, I bought one for myself. And then I gave it to my granddaughter when she graduated, even though she had plenty of her own. The one I bought was Samantha, and I gave that doll to my granddaughter when she graduated from university. And I made a replica of her cap and gown, and I got her diploma in miniature, and she was getting some awards because she graduated summa cum laude, and so I got the miniature, kind of the miniature picture of what she would be getting from somebody at the university. I don't even remember who. And I replicated, there was a medal, and I don't know, seems like there was a sash and a medal or something that was unique to graduating with those honors, and so I replicated those and added those to the doll and stuff, you know. I got way more pleasure out of doing that and giving that doll to my granddaughter, who was entirely too old to play with it. But if she's wise, she'll never be too old to play with dolls. Anyway, she thought that's what I had for her for graduation. It was cute. It did turn out really cute. But what I had really done is I had really made her a quilt. And it was the world's fastest quilt. I started it in, I think it was the first weekend in November. She graduated the middle of December, and it was a pretty involved quilt. And it was not only, it was all applique. There were applique blocks and pieced borders, and it was not only done by me, but it was quilted by a fabulous machine quilter, custom quilted, and then also bound. So when I gave it to her, it was finished with a label on the back, and I mean, it was completely finished. I didn't even have to say, now I've given it to you, but you got to give it back for a few weeks. $13 to $40. Oh, that's okay. I can do that. Okay, thanks for giving me the keywords to look up. That is excellent. That helps. Thank you, Terry. All right. Hopefully this is going to work. So anyway, yeah, I do love me a good American Girl doll. They are beautifully made. I don't know, do they still make American Girl dolls? Surely they do. Good night, Kate. Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out with us for a little bit. I'm telling you, things have been going at warp speed this last month. Absolutely warp speed. Oh, there's another. I have serious thread tails that need to be tied and buried back here on the back of this quilt. I also have the binding ready to bind the quilt. So once I get one, and I may only do this one direction on this quilt. I don't, whoops. And that's what you don't want to have happen. Which means that I did not hang on to the thread tails, and so it didn't go quite as planned there for a second. Alright, what is your problem here? Alright, just a second. I need to figure out what the threading issue there is. What did I say? Life has just been crazy the last month. And hang on a second while I thread the needle. Wish I had some great story to tell you, but the story I would tell you is not a great story, so we're not going to go there. I got to think up something to talk about. I do love a good American Girl doll. When my granddaughter was about, she was probably about, I don't know, 7. She was old enough to enjoy dolls. And there was a website, an online website that was called I think it was called iDoll. I've forgotten. Somebody told me about it. And they were selling out all of their 18-inch doll compatible stuff. Alright, let's see if we can get this to smooth out here a little bit. This is the kind of stuff that if you are hand quilting, you can work out. They're still selling the American Girl dolls. Oh, that's good. Alright, let's go around it this way. And so they were selling all the outfits and accessories and all that kind of stuff. And the outfits were adorable, and they came with so many accessories. Like there was I think there was an ice skating doll and a ballerina. I don't know. I don't remember all the outfits that they had. Anyway, they were just so cheap, and they sold them out. It was like not too long after Christmas that year. So I bought one of everything that they had because I had a granddaughter, of course. And I mean, they had the shoes, the muffs, whatever went with the outfit. If it had gloves or mittens or whatever, it had all of that stuff. And they were, $1, $2, $3. And they also came on hangers. And I had a pile of these, and my granddaughter had enough. She had enough 18-inch dolls at that point. They weren't all American Girl dolls by any means. Some of them were knockoff dolls. But she had enough dolls that, she could play dress up for a long time. And so then we got, I can't remember exactly if it was something that Clausman made for her. I can't remember exactly. I'll have to ask my granddaughter because it's been a minute. But we put together a chest of some kind, or a trunk. I think it might have been a trunk for the clothes and the accessories, so that she had a chance of keeping the stuff together, because her mom was not the world's best at keeping things together back then. And granted, she had 3 kids, so it was kind of tough to keep all the bits and pieces together. And so we put all the things together in a trunk. I think that's what it was. I cannot remember. I'm going to have to ask her what I gave those to her. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It was like the last Christmas present that she opened that year. And when she at all of those doll clothes and all those outfits. She was so taken back. She could not, I mean, she just didn't even know. She didn't know what to do. She didn't know what to say. You know, she was so stunned at all of this stuff. I think her mom was too, actually. But I'd held on to those for almost an entire, almost a year. And, you know, I could not make the doll clothes. Even from scraps, I couldn't make them for what I could buy them for. It was the most amazing pile of doll clothes you ever saw. They were adorable. And she had a good time with them too, boy. She had a great time. Okay. I'm just going to stitch right on around this one, even though it's been stitched around already. I'm making this whole thing up as I go, you guys. Absolutely making it up as I go along. That's why sometimes I really take my time and kind of hem and haw. Hello, Rhonda. Good to see you. Anyway, it was the greatest pile of doll clothes on this side of the Mississippi. Yeah, this is what I mean about having a rat's nest back here on the back. It is. A lot of threads. I got to take some time and tie off the threads, people. Yes, I do. All right, we're getting close to the end of this little section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch go the other direction from that center line. Hopefully it will work out. It should. And then we're going to stitch the binding on this quilt. Yeah, you know, that was how I really learned how to sew, was making Barbie outfits. I thought it was great. I was too dumb to know any better. I was a kid. I don't even remember how old I was. But I loved making those Barbie outfits. And back in the day, you could go to a dime store. There were dime stores downtown. And they had like the aisles, all the stuff was kind of sectioned off, and all the Barbie doll clothes and outfits, and you could buy little things of little tiny zippers and little tiny buttons, you know, it's all that Barbie stuff. And boy, I loved it. I would save my allowance. Yep, I would save my allowance and I'd go spend it on all that stuff, and then put in those dumb little zippers. Good heavens. I don't know what was wrong with me back then, but anyway, I sure did. I sure did buy all that stuff. Okay, where was that? Here it is. Okay. I think we have one, maybe two more little sections of stitching here. I made entire weddings for my Barbie doll, including tuxedos and wedding gowns. Yep, somewhere, I'm not sure I still have those, but I kind of think I do, because it's not like me to get rid of those. Ugh, look at that horrible mess on the back. Ugh. There's a stitching artist named Jennifer Clouston. I've talked about her before. She's in Australia. She broadcasts on YouTube, and she does snippets of my daily life is the name of what she does. And she oftentimes will mark a guideline using a blue water erasable pen, and she refers to it as the horrible blue pen. I would have to say the horrible hairy threads on the back of this are equal to her horrible blue pen. Ugh, man, I hate these. I hate hate the hairy threads on the back. Anyway, but that year that we gave my granddaughter that chest with all those doll clothes, I'm telling you, I thought she was just gonna lose her mind. It was great. It was one of the best Christmas presents I ever gave her. Okay, so here is all of the quilting on half of it. Okay, it didn't turn out too badly. We're going to turn around, and this could make it go kind of cattywampus, but it's the best way that I can do this. So I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to do this, repeat the same thing on the other side of that stitching, center stitching line. Let's see. You discovered the woods and the creek, and that was the end of the dolls. Yeah, I love troll dolls. When I was in high school, those were called Damn It dolls. That's funny. I did have a lot of patience. I really did. Have you ever seen the, who is it? Michael. What is his name? Michael. Not sure I can come up with it. But he's a mixed media artist. He and his wife, I think, both did mixed media. And they're the ones that I believe started the project where you make things and leave it, mixed media things, and leave it for people, unexpected things. I can't remember the name of that either. But anyway, they had some place that they go, some island, someplace, where there's all of these, they have all of these dolls hanging in trees and stuff, and sometimes it's doll parts that are hanging. It must be weird. It must be really weird. And they just stay out there and they just, rot in the elements. I can't remember what the purpose of that is. There's probably some purpose, but I couldn't tell you what it is. I really couldn't. I got nothing. What was his name? Michael? Maybe somebody in the chat knows. Anyway. So last week, the Jelly Plate tried to win, but it didn't. We triumphed. It was nip and tuck there for a while with the Jelly Plate. I was working with a rice paper, sketch paper, and it was determined it was going to win, but we did not let it. And I got some nice two or three nice pieces of paper out of it. So it was worth it. It was worth the stick-to-itiveness that required. Sometimes you just have to hang in there with whatever it is you're doing. Not everything has to be fast. Fortunately, right now what we have is a slow stitching is popular. It's been popular for a while. Slow embroidery, slow living. slow cooking, slow eating, all of those things. There is a component for those things. People are trying to live at such a crazy pace, you know? And slowing down, eating slower, breathing more slowly, doing one thing at a time. All those things have a really good place in our lives, you know? And so everything doesn't have to be fast. It's one of the things that Kate of The Last Homely House, I think is the name of her channel, that she talks about. She does a lot of quilting. If you don't follow her channel, you should. She's over in the UK. It's called The Last Homely House. And I know there's a whole explanation as to where the name of her channel came from. I don't remember what it is right now. And nor does it matter to me. But anyway, she does lots of quilt projects. She does beautiful, colorful quilt projects. And just into finding a spot here that I'm going to have to stitch around a dot again. But she'll talk about how long something is going to take her to do, and she'll go, but I don't mind, because I like it when things last a long time. I think that's such a great philosophy, you know? It's like on YouTube, when you broadcast on YouTube or make videos, people want you to get it done. Quick. You know, get everything done really fast. And you know what? It's just not always possible to start and complete a project on a live stream, or sometimes you can complete things on a video, but they are heavily edited, heavily sped up, you know, for mini projects. And so that's what we're doing now. So we're working on this side of the line. So we're working out toward the corner. And I think that that's probably all I'm going to do, because I think if I do any more stitching going the opposite direction, which is what I thought I would do to begin with, I think it's just going to get too stiff. And we don't want to do that. I would like for it to still have, you know, last the test of time with a little girl, but at the same time be something that she would want to play with and not have it be stiff as a board. Yeah, it's a matter of, I think it's a matter of modeling. I think sometimes, you know, we can help kids and grandkids. If we slow down a little bit, sometimes that is encouragement to them. Sometimes it frustrates the crap out of them too. And, you know, when it frustrates them, sometimes that's good for them. Sometimes it's just good for them to be a little frustrated. But our kids live in a culture that it's so much, you know, the hurry up, get it done. How many things can you do? They live in that culture of reels and quick videos, TikToks, TikTok, hurry up, you know, keep people's attention. You know what? I don't need things bad enough to have to hurry it up. I don't need an audience badly enough, I should say, to have to hurry and make myself, you know, I hate hurrying. Honestly, I hate hurrying. You know why I hate it? Because it makes me breathe fast. It makes my shoulders go up around my earlobes. It's just not worth it. I'm sure it raises blood pressure. Okay, let's go around this dot, see how we do here. So far I'm coming around the dots pretty well. One more. There we go. I hate hurrying. And it seems like I was in a hurry so much of my life. No matter when I started to get ready for something or to go someplace, because we lived out in the country for a long time. You know, it's like you have to hurry. You know, no matter when I started, I didn't start soon enough. And so I would have to budget. You know, I kept trying to budget my time so I had enough time to get ready. Well, then I had a baby, and you know how that is when you have a baby. The baby is in charge of the schedule. You'd like to be in charge of the schedule. But about the time you are ready to go with a baby and everything is a-okay, then the baby takes a big poop or throws up down your back or something. You know how it is. Any of you that are mothers know exactly what I'm talking about. And so then even though you've allowed plenty of time, then you have to hurry and change the baby and change yourself a lot of the time. So the best laid plans go right out the window, and then you're back into the hurry up, hurry up, hurry up mode. I don't like to hurry. So I try to allow enough time, you know, but being a caregiver also causes a lot of hurry up things to have to occur, because you're trying to hurry to get something done, hurry to get food fixed, especially somebody with dementia, because time is irrelevant to someone with dementia. It just doesn't even exist. And so I was always trying to hurry, always. Not good. It's not good for any part of your body to be in that state of mind. But it becomes habit forming, and our kids end up, I think, paying the price and seeing disease processes in our kids that should never be discovered in our kids, that are stress related, and the hurry up syndrome. Hurry up, hurry up. Well, I hope you feel less lonely. I don't know why you'd hang out with me. I hope it's worth it in some way. I really do. I hope it's worth it for you to come here and hang out. And, you know, I just prattle on about whatever it is that's going on. Hopefully, not only do I hope I give you something to think about. I think it's good to have other things to think about. It makes us less introspective, maybe. Believe me, I am the worst one in the world for being introspective. If the Studley Duck was here, he would verify that. Tell you that I think way too much. You know what? That's the way I am. It is the way I am. I think I was born old. I think I was. One of the things that my dad loved to say was, if you think enough, you'll make the right choice. And I'm like, well, that's probably one of the worst pieces of advice you can give anybody. Because I'm sorry, there is no right choice. There is only the choice that you make, and there are consequences that come with every choice. Loved my dad, but that was not a good piece of advice. I understand what he was saying. He was trying to get us to think before we made a decision. I get that. Totally understand that. But you can't think yourself into the right decision. You just can't. Oops, I forgot to pull the threads through. You just can't. It's impossible, you know? There are only choices with consequences. Some of them are consequences that are better than others. Totally agree with that. So anyway, some of you may not agree with that statement, and that is fine, but it's my opinion. It's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. Okay. All right. So I think what we're going to do, starting on Friday, is I think we're going to do something in the mixed media line. I'm not quite sure what. Anybody have any suggestions of things they would like to have me explore in the line of mixed media? I would enjoy hearing your or reading your opinions. We live in such a hurry-up culture, you know, that if I stay on one project too long, people get tired of it, you know, and then they go, it's a waste of time to be here. And you know what? I'm not here to satisfy the people. I'm here to entertain and chat with and tell stories to the people who want to be here. That's why I'm here. I don't get very many critical viewers once in a while, and when I do, they're really doozies. They are really doozies. I remember when Shannon Green used to read some of the comments, some of her crazy comments on air. She'd read those in a video. I was like, who would say that stuff? I think sometimes there are people who hide behind the safety of the screen, the anonymity of the computer screen, and they don't realize how their words can be cutting and injurious to other people, not just to me, not just the broadcaster or the video maker, but you know, sometimes it can injure the other viewers, you know, because it's like, well, now I can't say that, now I can't do that, you know, I can't have that opinion, because if I voice that opinion, I'm going to get attacked, and that's wrong on so many levels. That is not right. So, you know what? If I have 100 viewers, 200 viewers, 20 viewers, 15 viewers, I figure you're the ones that are supposed to be here tonight. However many there are, or few, you know, and that is a-okay. Yep, everybody does have a right to their opinion. Social media is crazy sometimes, just crazy. So, did you have anything you would like to see me do in particular? Hopefully, you know what? I hope that I just give people a break. Just gotta make sure my thread doesn't whip around the needle. Anything in particular? I didn't see anything in the chat that you would really like to see me do. I do have a couple of kinds of cloth paper towels, which doesn't sound really strong paper towels, that I thought about making some fabric out of, doing fabric paper. So I thought that might be kind of fun to do. not using construction paper, but using paper towels. There is a video on the channel here for making flowers using those paper towels, but I haven't done anything else with those for a long time. And there's a couple of different kinds. One kind is blue and one kind is white, and so I thought we might do something with that. So that's an option. I love combining fabric and paper. I've combined napkins, paper napkins, and fabric. I've combined construction paper and fabric, doing different processes to transform the paper into a stitchable medium. What else have I used? I've used regular copy paper, and I don't know what other kinds of paper, probably deli paper, I don't know, I don't remember. I've done a bunch of things with paper and fabric, and I really love combining paper and fabric. I do love that ever so much. Okay, here we go. Alright, we got another dot coming up here. Alright, let's get around this dot. Try not to stitch on it. I do love the apple pops that I made these dots with. I think they are a pretty cool way to make an applique dot. And the raw edges are not going to come out. And I really like that way of making dots. There are different ways to make applique circles or applique dots, but that, if you want to make tiny ones, it's a good way to do it. We're almost to the end of this, and then I am going to at least stitch the binding on, and we'll see how it goes. The place where it becomes dicey with binding is when you are stitching the ends of the binding together. And as many times as I've done it, as many quilted projects as I have made, I still have to get the directions out. I've even made videos about it. I still have to get the directions out, and I still have to. I mean, there are some really easy ways to do it. There's some tougher ways to do it. I usually do it with a ruler, a special ruler. It doesn't matter what way I do it. I still have to get out the directions. It doesn't matter. Because if it's not something you do on a very frequent basis, it is real hard to remember how to do it. Oil pastels. Yep, oil pastels are a great medium. And I only play with them. I am not a professional. I'm not a fine artist. It's really funny though. One time I was at a class, and it was a bunch of fine artists. No shade on fine artists, by the way. Fine artists are great people. Sometimes they tend to get a little full of themselves. Not all of them, but some of them. And I went to this, it was a study group from a local guild that I was a member of. Didn't really feel like I belonged there because most of them were fine arts majors, had degrees and master's degrees and all that stuff. It's like, that is so not me. But a friend of mine convinced me that I should join this group, and I did, and I was in it for a long time. But the day that I went, and somebody there was so deliriously happy about some art supply. I don't even remember now what it was. I have no idea what it was. But was so deliriously excited about this brand new art supply, which had been on the market for a long time, by the way. And I had been using for years. I cannot remember what it was. Now it was bona fide, because it had entered the fine art realm. And I'm like, it's a craft supply. How does this qualify in this world? And I didn't say a thing. I'm just like, that is a good idea right there. That's a really good idea. You know? But quietly I thought to myself, I was listening to a podcast the other day. Mike Rowe, I don't know if you know who he was. He's still around. He had a show on TV on, I think it was, I don't know if it was a Discovery Channel or TLC, I don't know, called Dirty Jobs. And he is a funny guy. And he has a podcast. And Jason Alexander, who was on Seinfeld, can't remember his character name. Costanza was the last name. Anyway, he was on the show, okay? On the podcast. And he and another guy, Jason Alexander and another guy, started a podcast. And I think the name of it is Really No Really. And, pardon me. And the way that it started, the way that show got its name, is that when Jason Alexander was, I think he was riding with somebody or something. I can't remember the exact story. Anyway, somebody did something stupid, like cut him off or did something. Rather than get upset and yell at him and stuff, he'd just go, "Really?" And I thought, that is the greatest response. I have thought that many times. Really? Yep. Okay. Let us take a look. I can throw this tape away because I'm not going to use it anymore. We'll take a look at this quilt. Okay, there it is. It is quilted as much as it's going to get quilted. So our diagonal lines turned out okay. It may have skewed a little bit, but I don't think so. Look at that horrible. Look at those awful threads on the back. Oh, that is a terrible mess. That's all right. I'll fix it. All right, I do have binding already made. And it is sometimes really hard to come up with new ideas. It really is. Sometimes it is real hard to come up with new ideas. And that's why we ask people for help. That is exactly why we ask people for help. All right, so now what I'm going to do, because I don't want to miter corners on this quilt, because I just don't want to, I'm going to use this spool right here, quilting thread, or big spool, okay? Let's come in so you can see. All right, here we go. So it's a spool of King Tut thread. I am going to lay this in the corner. And this probably shouldn't happen, but it's going to. I'm going to use just a regular ink pen. Like that. And then, what do you want, Mup? Do you want to go outside? I talk to her like she can hear me. She can't hear a thing. And then I'm going to round this corner like so. Okay? And that little tiny bit of fabric that I'm cutting off that corner makes a huge difference, and you don't have to miter the corners. So I'm going to repeat that 3 more times. So I just put this in the corner like so, draw around it using a regular ink pen. I don't recommend, but it's what I have. And I'm cutting it off except for the, I'm basically getting rid of most of the line. Okay, 2 more times now. Yes, the Way I Heard It podcast is the one where Jason Alexander was on. Barb, have you ever done mixed media on heavier paper towels than you do free stitching? Yes, and that may be what we do with these paper towels. The paper towels that I have, they're Scott Rags. One box, it's a box of Scott Rags, I think it's called, and the other one are blue shop towels. And so I thought we might make some fabric paper using both. See which one we like. So that might be what we do. And we may experiment. I may not have time to check it out ahead of time, and so we may experiment together live on the air on Friday. If that sounds good to you, that's probably what we'll do. Boy, we got some hard rain today. Ooh. I know, I'm all over the place. I am just rattling. Studley Duck has ADHD. The more I'm around him, the more I think I have it too. I think it's catching. I think it's contagious. He'll love it when he hears that. I think he's given it to me. I seriously doubt that you can give someone ADHD. However, if I can accuse him of it, I'm going to. Yep. Okay, so let's put on some binding. Okay, let's do it. So what's going to happen, or what I have done so far, is I've taken a strip of the same black fabric. It is a black, it's not solid black. It's like black on black. You know, like white on white, like white on rice. Anyway, I cut this on the bias, which means it has some stretch to it. It's 45-degree angle across the fabric. And I cut it almost, I think I went a little bit over, I think I went between 1 3/4 and 1 7/8. I think that's what I did. We'll measure and see what I actually did. I mean, it was all of 30 minutes ago. Yeah, between 1 3/4. See if I can get this where you can see it. It's just a shade, a scooch over 1 3/4 in width. Okay? And then I sewed 2 strips together, so I had enough. I think I have enough to get around this quilt. Let's measure real quickly. Measure loosely, because you got to allow for, oh yeah, we're good. You have to allow for enough to be able to effectively and easily piece the 2 ends together. So I cut 2 strips, and then I sewed those strips together on the straight of grain, and then when I folded it in half, when you do that, it offsets the seam. So the raw edges of those seams, the raw ends, end up not right on top of each other. They end up offset. Okay? And I ironed it in half. Okay, now what we're going to do, I'm going to have to rethread my machine with black thread, but fortunately it's right here, so I'm going to do that, rethread with black thread, and then we're going to machine sew the binding onto the right side of this little quilt. And then we're going to see if I can remember how to end the 2 bias edges. I'm telling you, you'd think I would always remember this as many times as I've done it. I've done it a bunch of times. I have to look at the directions every stinking time. And sometimes I still screw it up. So, patience my pretties. Patience with the old woman in the video. You got to be patient with the woman in the video tonight. And I'm going to be using, when I put those ends together, I'm going to be using a ruler by Fons and Porter, who are they had a PBS show for a long time called Fons and Porter. I don't know if they still, I've lost track of what's on PBS anymore, so I don't know whether they still have a show or not. I know that they don't, because I think both of them retired, but I think they had other people on for a while after the two personalities, Marianne Fons and Liz Porter, retired. The show still kept going, and they had a magazine and all kinds of stuff. I don't have any idea if any of that still exists. Yes, Dorothy, good night. Go to bed. Goodness sakes, girl, you should be in bed. Sound asleep. Make some handbags, dolls, all kinds of things we can do with that. We'll see how the fabric paper turns out, okay? Before we make any rash decisions. Let's do that. Okay. So, I'm going to, I think the angle of the camera here is probably about the best angle for you to actually see what I'm doing. And so I'm going to put this, I'm going to give myself quite a bit of extra room. Okay, quite a bit of extra, maybe a little bit more. We'll give ourselves quite a bit. Like that. Okay? Now, I am going to move my needle position over 1, so it's a little less than 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to stitch a little bit, and then I'm going to stop, and I'm going to take a look and see if the width of this binding and my seam allowance are working together for me. Okay? So let's see. You really should base this instead of going straight for a seam regular stitch length, but that's okay. I didn't, so I'm going to live dangerously. And I'm going to pull, I'm going to get my machine over here closer to me. I'm going to pull this out of the machine and check it. Okay? So this is just, if I can hit the thread, we're all good. This is just my test thing. I never sew my bindings on both seams with the machine. I like to sew it on one side, turn it to the back, and hand stitch it on the back side. That's how I like to do it. Okay, so here's what I want to see happen. I want my binding to pull over, which I will, once I'm sure it's okay and I stitch it all on and everything's on, before I do the second seam by hand, the second stitching by hand, I will press this with an iron. I will press this out. Okay? So what I want to do is I want to take that and I want to turn it over the seam allowance where I've stitched it on. I want it to fill out this binding. So I want to feel the edge of the quilt all the way to the edge of the binding. And then I want the folded edge of the binding to come right to that stitching. So I can stitch the edge, the folded edge of the binding to the seam line right there, the black thread. It feels pretty good. So I think we're good. All right. So now we're gonna rock and roll, and I'm gonna run the presser foot along the edge of my quilt and binding. And again, if my head gets in the way, apologies all around. And I have moved my needle position 1 to the right, so 1 position closer to the edge. And it's going to differ on every machine. So you're going to have to experiment with your machine and see if it works. Now, when you come down here to this round, this is going to keep me from having to miter the corners. But what you don't want to do is pull this tight, because if you pull this when you go around the corner, when you turn the quilt, the binding to the other side is going to cup under. So you got to build in a little bit of ease as you go around this corner. So just don't stretch it. Whatever you do, do not stretch the binding coming around this corner. And it's easy to do because this is a bias binding that I've made. Okay, it's cut on the bias. You just got to take your time, and this is where it's helpful if you use a bamboo skewer and go slowly so you don't stitch a pleat. Hopefully don't stitch a pleat into your bias strip. And it's also much easier to do if you're not doing it in black. But of course I made it hard for myself, don't you know? Uh-oh, Elton Fay. You guys, that is the Studley Duck in person. He needs to give him some trouble or some love. It's up to you. I don't know why he thinks confession, what I should be confessing. I don't think he really wants to go there. Uh-huh. All right, here we go. Keep going. I can't get wound up in the chat because I'm supposed to be stitching this, okay? I'm supposed to be doing this, so hopefully, I'm not going to guarantee that I'm going to stitch the ends of this together right on camera, you guys. I will do my best, okay? I will do my best. That's all I can tell you. That's all a Studley Duck can do. Let's take a look at this over here. Okay, that's what the corner is going to look like, okay? But if you pull this tightly, it is going to cup that corner under and it's not going to look good. And I also will come in here and put some release clips in the seam allowance. So yeah, there you go. I don't know what he's saying I gave to him. Somebody better enlighten me, because I just talk while I'm doing this stuff. I don't pay any attention to what I say, by the way. I just rattle on. Yep, I just rattle on. I'm sure you guys know that by now. Okay, again, build in some ease as you go around the corner. You got to do this corner thing 4 times. But don't stitch your fingers. Okay, you want to use a bamboo skewer, because if the needle hits it, the needle may bust the bamboo, but it may dull your needle, but it's probably not going to break the needle. That's why you use bamboo. Okay? Oh no, it wouldn't be the first one. Don't stretch your binding, even when you're going down the straight edge of the binding. Don't stretch it, okay? Don't stretch it. You will not be happy. And if the top layer of the binding decides that it is going to scooch and try to make a pleat, lift your presser foot, make sure the needle stays in the fabric, lift the presser foot, it will relax. Fabric doesn't need to get tense, but it's prone to do that. Just gotta go with the flow. I'm gonna cut off these dog ears down here because we don't need them. Makes it easier to see the edge. Oh, the ADHD. Ah, yes. Now I'm on the same page with you guys. He had that way before he encountered me. I think it's contagious. I think he gave it to me. He must be way back. He doesn't understand YouTube real well. And so oftentimes if he's watching and he gets a phone call, it messes up and I cannot get him to understand how to hit the live icon so that the live icon is red and not black. If it's black, you're not watching the live stream. I have not yet been able to communicate that properly to him. So he's way back in the chat. That's what happened there. That's why he's talking about me giving him the ADHD. Because he's back. He's stuck in the past. That's what happened. Now I'm on the same page. I wasn't for a bit. Okay, more ease in the corner. Hopefully. All right. I'm sorry that I chose black for you guys to try and see this because black is the worst color to see. Black and navy are just horrendous. But you know, I'm sorry, but that's the color that needed to go on the edge of this little quilt, and so that's the color that you have to suffer through, the black. Yep. Okay, we only have one more corner to do. You got his back? Rhonda, whose side are you on? Goodness. I thought you had my back. Okay, we have one more corner to do. But it is important that on any size quilt that you start and you stop in the middle of one of the sides of the quilt. Do not ever, even if it's mitered corners, do not ever stop on a corner. You will hate yourself and it will never look very good, ever. In a whole time of eternity, it will never look good. Okay, coming up to the last corner. We have plenty of binding. Yep, Studley Duck's stuck in the past. That's okay. In time, he will learn. He will get on board. He will get on the current YouTube train. He will get on the live YouTube train, but we're going to have to train him up, you guys. We're going to have to train him up. Hey, at least he's on YouTube. That's okay. That has a pleat that's trying to form. Let's see if we can work it out. Okay. All right, coming in the home stretch here. Let's see if we can just get this last little pleat business. You just got to be patient with it, and it's so darn hard to be patient. I hate having to be patient. Do you? All right. But I can't emphasize enough, even as much as I've built in ease around here, I still may not have enough, but it will help if you use a steam iron and you steam the binding out toward the outer edge before you ever try to sew. Flip it over and sew it. Okay, we got to leave a few inches. We'll come down here a few more. It's better if you leave more than less. Okay, so I'm going to take this out of the machine. It's just, yeah, patience is just a pain. Okay, so let's see. Let's go back to the other camera and let's see if I can do this live on the air. Oh, everybody, good energy requested. Okay, so here is, we'll look at it nice and where you can see the whole thing. Okay, so there is our little quilt. Our edges, our corners are going to look like that. The binding is going to look like this. It's going to be that wide, so a little over 1/4 of an inch. By having a double fold on the binding, it makes the edge much more durable than a single fold. That's right, Linda. Thank you. Okay, here we go. Here is the Fons and Porter binding tool. I do not know if they still make this, but if you bind a bunch of quilts and you want a tool to help you do it, this might be your answer. Then again, it might not. Okay, I got it on Amazon. It has lots of instructions, so we're going to follow the instructions. They are in English and Spanish, by the way. All right, 7 to 8 inches of tail free. This is for a big quilt, but it's going to be okay for this one to have excess as well. I'm going to cut off my thread tails here because I can't stand them. All right, 10 to 12 inches between the strips, which I didn't do exactly, but that's okay. You have 2 long ends free, that is true. And so then we go on to place the binding tool on the end of the right binding strip, which is this one. Okay, so we take the tool, here it is. Okay, so we take this tool and we put it on the end of the right binding strip like this. Okay, so we're going to position it exactly the way this ruler shows it. Okay, so we're going to put it here like this. Bring the left binding strip. Okay, what does it say to do? Place the binding tool on the end. Okay, did I cut this off already? Binding ending. You'll have 2 long tails free. Trim the right binding strip so it ends at the center of the opening. Yep, I forgot to do that part. Okay, so at the center of the opening would be right about here. Now the next question is, do I have a pair of scissors that will cut this? Let's see. Because all my good scissors are in with Chance. This is called sawing the fabric off. Okay. So it's still free. All right. Okay. So this tool goes over here on this like so. And it says, place binding tool, bring the left binding strip over the binding tool and fold it back. Strip back on itself until the line for the cut width of binding for your example. Okay, so I cut my strip 1 3/4 inches. There's the line right there, 1 3/4 inches. Okay, so I'm going to come over here like this. I'm going to lay this on here and I'm going to lay it back on the 1 3/4 inches line. We're going to hope this works, you guys, because it has been a long time since I've done this. Okay. fold it back on that line. Okay? Cut through the fold to trim the left binding strip to the proper length. This is where you have to have faith. If this doesn't work, I'll be making some new binding and putting it on this quilt. All right, cut it. All right, too late now. We have done it. All right. Now, open out the left binding strip so the right side is facing up. This is where I continually mess this up, you guys. So patience, everybody. Patience. All right. So the left strip, got to open it. The left strip is up. All right. I need some pins too, because we can check this before we stitch it. All right. And then open out the left binding strip so the right side is facing up. Open out the right binding strip and place right sides together with the left binding strip. Okay, open this up. Okay. Position the end of the right strip along the top edge of the left strip. Okay, we'll see if this works. We're going to find out before we actually do it if it's correct. Okay, so I put the right end at the top edge of the left strip. We're going to just put it like this way. Okay. All right. Everybody hold your breath because it takes a minute to figure this out. Okay. And then place a diagonal line on the binding tool along the end of the right strip. This is the right strip. Okay. Place the diagonal tool. Okay. We're going to make it look just like the binding here. What I generally have happen is I generally have it twisted, but it takes me one time to figure it out. Okay, so I'm going to put the binding tool, place the diagonal line of the binding tool along the end of the right strip. Okay, the diagonal tool, I got to make it look like that. Fons and Porter goes, which way does it go? This way? No, you got to get this right, Barb. If you don't get it right, it's a problem. That's not correct. It goes this way. It goes this. Hold on. I'm getting it. I'm getting it. It goes up here like this. Okay. See, you got to have this picture. Still isn't right. Fons and Porter needs to be right side up. Like... Okay, bear with me. Here we go. Up here, is this it? Along. I'm telling you guys. Okay, I think that might be. All right, we'll find out. Okay, so we put it up there. Mark a sewing line along the slanted edge of the binding tool. I think that might be it. Okay, we're going to do it in pencil. Oh, I need a pencil with a point. Okay. All right, so we're going to put this up here, like so. Pardon my head. Pardon the head shot. Okay, and then mark a line along the edge of the tool. Okay? All right. Pin the binding strips together along the marked line and stitch them together. Okay, now here's where you pin it and check it. You don't stitch first, you pin and check, because this is where the tricky part is. This is the tricky part. Okay, those of you that know how to do this, oh, it's going to work. Okay. Yep, that's correct, I think. Okay. So we're stitching along this diagonal line that I just drew. All right, you guys, keep your good thoughts coming. Okay? Good thoughts, all good thoughts appreciated. We might have done it right. We might not too. And if we didn't, we'll try again. Okay, so again, I'm not trying to stretch all this bias business, but I am going to stitch on that line. Okay? Oh, you guys, here's hoping I did it right. We're going to find out. Okay. Where, well, it doesn't matter. Okay. I'm gonna, and this is just the bias, the two bias pieces that I am stitching together. All right, hold your breath. Say a prayer. Let's see if we got it the right way around. And we're gonna cut this thread tails off. And I did not get the exact distance. Wonder how come I didn't get the exact distance. It's close, but yeah, I don't know. For some reason I didn't mark it accurately. So you know what? I told you. It is a challenge to do this, but when you get it, it's great. All right, let's do it again. Somewhere here I have my little scissors. Here they are. It is totally like patting your head, rubbing your stomach. Okay, so we're gonna, because you got to stitch on that line, but I didn't end up with a deep enough seam allowance. So here, this is where you do what you call unsewing. Okay. And this is also where it would have been ever so handy to have used a bigger seam allowance or stitch length. God, the brain. That's okay. It's okay, Barb. We're getting it. We're gonna get it. And those of you who are who do not want to watch this, that's fine. Okay. This goes up here like so. I'm going to take a deeper, just going to move it over a little bit. Because I didn't measure it quite accurately. Okay? Okay. And we'll see. Hopefully this will be a better measurement. I think that might be a better measurement. Okay, let's stitch it. Let's see if it works. Hold your fingers. Yeah, a YouTube video that I would need. That's right. Yes. I mean, I've done this so many times, I can't even tell you. I should never do this stuff on air. Never, never, never. But I'm not going to be outdone. I'm going to do it. Okay? All right, let's try again. Try it again, Barb. All right, we're gonna... Okay, try to get a smooth seam with no pleats. Okay. In a perfect world, the edges, all the edges line up, which did not. The world wasn't perfect tonight. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. Everybody here is my friends. All right, now let's look at it again, shall we? Let's try it again. Look one more time. Okay, sewing machine out the way. Yeah, I think it's going to work. Okay, then what you're going to do is you have to cut off these edges. Okay, leave a seam allowance. Don't cut right on the stitching line. You'll hate yourself. Okay, now, so that throws away. Then this, I'm not going to take it to the iron and press it because the iron is in there where the cat is. So we're going to just finger press it. And finger press it in half. Okay, the binding in half. Like so. And those edges should line up. I'm not sure that I have it exactly right yet, but you know what? We're going to make it work because I don't want to mess with this anymore tonight. So we're going to put it in here like so. I have absolutely put my pins, I have hidden them from myself under the sewing machine. Okay. Line this up. Okay, line them up, and in a perfect world, all those edges are going to be exactly at the edge of your quilt. Mine's not exactly at the edge of the quilt, and we're just going to act like it is because we're going to get this puppy done. It's almost 8 o'clock here, and we're going to get this done. Yes, we are. Okay, so I'm going to come back to where the seam allowance was, where we finished quilting, or if we finished sewing the binding on. Okay, got to go back to the same seam width. All right, here we go. Let's see if we can make it work, you guys. Let's see if we can make it work. And you know what? If there is a fudge factor at play, if I have to fudge it just a little bit, I just do, and I'm okay with that. It's a doll quilt. If this was a real quilt for a real person, not a doll person, that would be different. But if you, when you hone your skill on doing the ends of the binding like this, what you end up with is you can't tell where the binding stopped and started. There are other ways. For every one way of doing something, there's a whole bunch of other ways to do it as well. And so this is one way to do it. Where's the, I don't know where the thread tails are. It doesn't matter. Okay. But by doing this, then you end up with the seam stitched right here. You can't see it, but and then it will turn to the back just like the rest of your binding, and it will look like one continuous, oh, how can I do this so you can see it? Let me put some pins in right in this area so you can kind of see, get the idea, okay? So it folds right over the seam allowance after I press it really well. So imagine that this was stitched. It's going to look just like that, okay? And from the right side, this is the area where I cut it and mitered that and stitched it. So we got there awkwardly, admittedly awkwardly, but we got there, okay? So the next step in this process is take this to the iron and flip this out and lightly press it away from the quilt. Not this way, but away from the quilt, all the way around. So it presses away from the quilt. Then you flip it over and stitch it from the back side. Okay? There you go. All right. I was just reading the comments. Okay, so big hugs and prayers, Rhonda, to your friend. Absolutely. Okay, you guys, although it's not entirely finished, you kind of have the concept. This is the width of the binding here. That's what the width of the binding. That's where I ended the two tails of the binding there. So you can see that it does work and it does fit. If you measure it right, it does fit. If you use the ruler the right way, it does fit. And you just have to have faith that you're doing the right thing, that you're overlapping the right way. It does work. All right. Any questions about anything? Oh, thanks, Rhonda. Any questions about anything? I do have videos on how to get creative that are various quilting videos. It shows mitered corners and that kind of stuff. Well, I just wasn't in the mood to miter corners here. Okay. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate you being here. And even the Studley Duck showed up, even though he was a day late and $1 short. Bless his little pointed head. And so I'll put this right here so you can kind of see it. I will see you. I will be back on Friday. And I will be here. Let's see. I'll be here Friday. I'll give you a schedule then, okay? But I'll be here till about the middle of October. Then I'll be gone for a few weeks, okay? Thanks. Good to see you guys. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, a wonderful week, a wonderful whenever you're watching, evening, morning, day, whatever. Remember to be kind to each other, do something nice for somebody else, and enjoy and stay creative, because you know, it's easy. All you got to do is just start and just, you know, get creative every single day. All right, I'll be back Friday. I will see you then. Bye for now.